This presentation will discuss brain and literacy development between the ages of 3 and 5. 90% of a child's brain development happens before age 5. This is why it's so important to provide children with supportive, nurturing, and stimulating environments. A child's environment has enormous impact on what happens to the cells found within the brains. Pruning, making connections, and organizing information are all happening inside the brain. And as you can see in this picture, between 2 to 6 years, your pruning is happening and you're losing some of those connections. This is a necessary part of brain activity. The brain of a 3-year-old is 2.5 times more active than an adult, as they're taking in so much in the environment and interpreting and learning all the things around them. Between 1.5 and 4 years old, the brain experiences the most vigorous growth. This is when you see a lot of pruning, connections, and activity. Thus, it's essential to read to your child. Reading stimulates the brain. Reading is one of the single best activities you can provide your child, in part because it blends everything you can see on the right: attention, bonding, and communication. We call this the ABCs of brain development. Attention happens as you're reading the book to your child. They naturally are attending to the pictures that you're pointing to. Bonding is essential when your child is sitting on your lap, and communication naturally happens as you take turns pointing and discussing pictures found within the book. Early language and literacy development all take place when you're reading to your child. Early literacy skills develop in real-life settings through these positive interactions with literacy and lap reading. It's a continuous developmental process that engages children, and it begins in the first years of life, and it continues all through elementary school. Reading aloud is critical to children's brain development. Age-appropriate books are crucial and pivotal in that development as you're building emergent literacy skills. Discussion of the book is beneficial as it helps stimulate and develop children's vocabulary. Reading aloud and talking to your child feeds the brain 10 million words of raw data each year in the first 3 years just by reading to your child. So take some time, enjoy the bonding experience of lap reading, and maybe engage in some object labeling. This is a joint activity where you're asking your child to discuss something seen in a book. You might discuss objects. You might label parts. So for example, you might see a car in a book and you'll have your child point to the wheels and the windows. Through this interactive activity, a child is naturally building vocabulary. Print is different than pictures. By age 3, children distinguish between print and visuals. This is exciting as your children begin to actually draw pictures. As you can see in this photo, this child engaged in trying to write a story, and they can tell you exactly what they were thinking. When 3-year-olds write their name, their markings will look different than when they're asked to draw a picture. This is pretty fascinating, and this is an early sign of an understanding of concepts of print. Name writing is especially fun, as children love to write the letters found within their names. It's also a way to develop fine motor skills using a pencil. Other activities necessary to develop fine motor skills include cutting with scissors. You can get developmentally appropriate kid scissors, tracing, Play-Doh play, any kind of artwork. Finger painting is also excellent. The most important aspect of parent talk is the amount. Children love to hear a parent's voice. So the more you can engage back and forth, the more you're developing children's conversational skills and their vocabulary, all while having a little fun together, and maybe even discussing a book.